Living the good fat life with your host Karen and Sherri. They'll help everything align for your body, soul, and mind. The good fat life, whether change comes slow or dramatically. The good fat life will help you sort things out organically.
Hey, happy Thursday.
Yeah, happy Thursday. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. A whole week has gone by already.
I know. How was Texas?
It was awesome.
Yeah. I'm glad to have you back in the studio. How was that doing the podcast from the road? Yeah. Did you want to punch your husband after?
It was a learning experience for all of us, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, but there's something. There was something kind of scary and exciting about being on the road, too, right?
Agreed.
Taking it on the road. So it's like it can be done.
Yep.
And there's always new things to learn.
Yeah, for sure. Well, welcome back.
Thanks. So it's great to be back and in the studio. And I'm so excited about, just so many things happening.
I know, our magazine.
We need to point out we have this great new issue of our magazine. And so if you'd like to get a copy, it's going across the screen on how you sign up to get a copy.
You can click on the QR code or you can text to, it's 55687 Inspired GFL. You can text to that number and you can get a digital subscription, or you can get a hard copy sent to your house if you subscribe and pay for it. But if not, you can get the digital subscription, and it is chock full with health and wellness and beautiful pictures and amazing articles about amazing people. So check it out.
Yeah.
So you can live your best good fat life, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm so excited about our guest today.
I know. This is so much fun.
It's Karen Barbee Adkisson, and she is a belly dancer.
I know. And I love that her podcast is called the Belly Boomer Baby Belly Dancer, or Belly Dancers.
Well, let's ask her.
Yeah,
hey, Karen, welcome.
we struggle with the name too.
Easy for me to say. Yeah, you don't think of baby boomers and belly dancing is what I was trying to say. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things about all of this is, and then we'll let Karen tell us about her experience. But as we get older and we have that arm, that arm,
right?
Karen has none of that.
She's speaking of that Karen, not this Karen.
Yeah, exactly.
This Karen has that, unfortunately.
So that's a way that even I'd like to believe going forward that we can do the belly dancing and tone up our arms at the same time.
Right. Yeah. And we're so lucky because she has her own podcast as well. And Karen, can you tell us what your podcast is called, since I just butchered it?
It is called Baby Boomer Belly Dancer because I'm 58 years old. I don't care. I'll say that to anybody. 58 years old, and I've been belly dancing since I was 10. So something I've done for my entire life. And so I got a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Tell us how you started your journey in belly dancing.
I started because of my big sister. So there are 4 of us in the family. My oldest sister is 13 years older than I am. She's the oldest. I'm the baby. And she got into hula dancing because my dad was in the Air Force, stationed in Hawaii for a long time. She picked it up over there. She was teaching hula dancing at a studio where I was taking tap and ballet and jazz and all of that since about the age of 5. And the owner of the studio asked her in 1972, when I was 10, asked her if she'd heard about this belly dance craze going on, because all of these magazines were starting to talk about it, and music in that time was starting to incorporate instruments from the other side of the world. So there was just this interest in stuff going on in the East. And my sister said she hadn't heard of it, but she would be happy to go out and try to learn it. And so she did. At the time, there was really no one teaching. I'm in San Antonio, Texas. There was nobody teaching here, but there were plenty of people teaching in Houston and Dallas. And so we would do little road trips to Houston and Dallas. My sister had just had her first child. And so I was really sort of going along as a babysitter for Angie, her little daughter. But I would sit there holding on to Angie, watching her dance, because dance was a big part of my life too. And then after the workshops, we would always sit around and talk about it. So she's the one who got me involved.
And did it feel organic for your body, or was it something that felt natural right away, or was it a total learned skill, or both?
It was horrible. It was horrible because I loved ballet.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, a very strong spine, and there's no curl in ballet.
Yeah.
And in the Middle Eastern art form, there's a lot of curving movement and a lot of visceral movement that comes from way deep in your torso and just bends your spine all over the place. And it was horrible. It's horrible. And I tell my students that all the time when they come in and feel the discomfort, and, you know, you can do it.
Yeah. And what? Okay.
Yeah, no, but to that point, it's probably one of the best things you could do for yourself from a physical standpoint, right? To move
really is.
like that, and versus this rigidity of a ballet dancer.
It is really great. And a lot of the dancers in the Middle East perform well into their 40s and 50s. You don't see any ballet dancers doing that because you're going to blow out your joints way before that. It's just not something that's working naturally with your body, you know? And in fact, I go to a chiropractor every 2 weeks, and she had me teach a little belly dance class at her office because of the way my spine moves. And she's like, this is really interesting and really loose. And that's a great thing. You know, I want you to show other people how that works.
That's awesome. Can you speak to
great idea?
It is a great idea. Yeah, I don't mind spine being loosey goosey. Can you tell us about mentally what the difference is between a ballet dancer and a ballet dancer? Because I'm guessing it's really a different mental space as well. Is that correct?
Yes. Belly dance at its most basic form is meant to be performed solo and improvisationally. And ballet is choreographed. I mean, and often not your choreography, but the choreography of someone else who designed the performance and then lays it on you. And so you're executing someone else's dance. You're trying to impart someone else's vision. You're presenting the way someone else hears the music, all of that. Whereas in belly dance, it's much more personal. But then you have to rely on how much vocabulary you have of your own and what you're able to access. If you're relying on some professional choreographer that's been doing that their entire life, then you feel comfortable that you're going to have adequate tools to put out on the stage. As your own choreographer in the moment, doing improvisation on stage, it's all about what you have acquired and what you're able to access in the moment.
So Karen, talk more about that, because that's actually fascinating how that works.
It really is. And it's what I love.
Right.
Yeah. The whole improvisation aspect of it, you know, and this is something that, oh gosh, I just have so much to say.
Okay. Just start from the beginning.
Because in the Western world, and you know, and I was one of them, again, coming from ballet, when I would take a workshop from someone who was of Arab descent and their format was follow me, I was miserable. You know, I want to know exactly what you're doing, all of the mechanics behind it. If you can tell me which muscle group is doing it, that would make me really happy. And I need you to repeat it exactly the same several times so that I can figure out exactly what you're doing. But that's not how it's done by a native dancer. They're feeling the music, they're listening, they're creating these shapes and emotions, and you're just supposed to follow, right? Mm-hmm. That was really, really, really difficult for me. Now, I started this in the 70s, and over the last, how long is that? Like 1,000 years? Over that amount of time, it's gotten really popular in the Western world, in Europe, in America. And so a lot of people have embraced it for exercise and other things, but the way of teaching it has been tailored to that Western audience. And so choreography and rote memorization of stuff is what sells. And so that's gotten very, very, very popular in the Western world for belly dance. And so all of that was just to say that this whole idea of going back to its roots of being improvisation is actually kind of sort of new, like really pushing that as an idea that's out in the industry, you know, because again, what sells is the security of here's a dance that I just made up. Here, do that, when you go out there and perform. And so the idea of improvising, there are a few of us pioneering that. And Sherri, you well know my love for Arab music. And one of well,
let's just take a second. And then that's how Karen and I met, because I work with the National Arab Orchestra, and Karen was following them. And
I was talking.
and she reached out and said, "Hey, I want you all to come to Houston or to San Antonio."
That's
and
awesome.
one thing led to another, and so now
Exactly.
she's on the board. And there's a chapter in San Antonio and a chapter in Houston, and I just want to say that meeting Karen and learning what she does and her whole approach to belly dancing and to music and to just our bodies has been fascinating. It just is. I'm just like gobstopped. It's just fascinating.
Yeah. And it's freeing, right? I'm it's freeing.
It is freeing. It is freeing. And that's a great word, because working with Arab music, which one of the primary characteristics of that style of music is that there's a lot of improvisation in it. And so even if you're a dancer used to choreography and a set of steps that you do, the minute you lift that off of an MP3 and try to execute it to live music, you're going to feel that disconnect, and you're going to have to figure out what to do about it. And the answer is learn to improvise, because those musicians are going to improvise. And so the way I've introduced it to my students over the last decade or so is to just bring in live music. Fine. You know a choreography that you want to perform to this song? Great. Give it a shot.
Yeah. Speaking of music and in what you love the Arabic style and the music, and it really flows with the belly dancing, but you also spoke about in your podcast that you've done it to other songs that totally don't seem like they would work for belly dancing, and how you had to prepare yourself that way. Can you speak a little bit about that?
I'd love to. So we have we call them perform rehearsals, because it's a performance in that we are out in public and there are strangers in the audience watching us and all of that. But because my live music curriculum is a year long, we consider everything before our annual showcase part of the laboratory. So that's the rehearsal part of our performance. So we have been coming up on Saturday with a classic rock band. And what I quickly learned as I started working on this improvisation idea with my students, they're all Americans, right? Is that it's all about the way you listen to music. You have to be able to listen at a macro level and a micro level, and then a word we've made up called micro, every level in between, and alternate those ways of listening in your brain to keep variety in your movement choices and to keep yourself interested. And if you stay interested, then there's a high chance that the audience is going to stay interested in the way you're presenting the sound. That with instruments that are tuned differently from Western instruments, that to a vocalist that's singing in a language that not everyone understands can be very intimidating. And so I realized that a building block to get to that would be to train people to listen differently to music that they've heard 1,000 times, and it's hilarious because you think Stray Cat Strut until you get up on stage and try to present it as a performance and alternate between moving literally on the sound and then moving in a more abstract way on the sound and index between those. You start realizing that there's more going on in that song than you ever thought there was.
It's like karaoke, right? You're like, oh, I love that song. I sound so great in my car. And then you get up in front of everybody, you're trying to remember the words and do your performance and everything.
Yes.
Similar.
Yes. And that's actually another piece of it. Just that whole I'm up in front of people thing, you know?
Right.
That throws you into a different headspace right away too. So you can nail something in the studio over and over and over and over. You can nail it in your home. And then suddenly you're up on stage, the band is playing behind you. There's all of this energy and there are strangers looking at you. Now what?
Right.
I'm just always so blown away by the courage. It's just the courage to get up on stage and move like that. I just am. Your dancers are so inspiring for them to do.
Right. It helps that there's 25 people in project band is what we call this at a time. And so it's really super interesting because I've had a studio since 1988. What is that? Another 1,000 years?
Who's counting?
Oh, yeah.
But, sometimes we gals can get a little snarky with each other. And I've certainly seen that over the years. I never see that in this curriculum because everybody is equally vulnerable and everybody is the whole point is to challenge yourself. And it's so supportive. It's amazing that this is actually the link that I think is what bonds these girls together at a deeper level. There's no sense of competition. I mean, maybe just periodic, but the next perform rehearsal, you'll see that person feeling vulnerable on stage and you'll feel sorry for them. Like, oh my gosh, no, you did a great job. You know, it's really a great way to be supportive of each other. Again, I think the key words there are equally vulnerable. And I get up there too.
Right.
Yeah.
I get up there too. And I will point out in the next class after we have one of these where I didn't quite do what I had hoped I would do. And I think that makes everybody feel a little better. My God, I've been doing this for 48 years now and it's not perfect. So maybe you shouldn't be either after 2.
Right. Well, talk to us about the vulnerability. Are you, talk to us about the difference. Do you purposely connect and vibe off the audience and that energy, or do you sort of go into yourself, or is it a little bit of both?
A little bit of both, I would say, is ideal, but a lot of it depends on the personality of the person, you know? In any presentation, and then in any dance presentation, and then in any dance presentation representing a culture that is not your own, I think it's important to have a noticeable sense of sincerity about what you're doing and not look like you're trying to impersonate or imitate badly or act badly or whatever based on some YouTube video you saw of an Egyptian dancer or whatever, you know? And I really try to drive that point home. So some of my girls are super introverted. And while that's not going to read well across a 7-minute piece of music, you know, I mean, you can't look down the whole time, obviously. You've got to try to project. But that's another piece actually to my work, is trying to expand them on that spectrum within the boundaries of what they're willing to do. You know, I need to stretch them, but I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. And I do want them to come across as sincere. Like I always tell them, when you step off the stage, I'd like for the audience to feel like they've kind of met you, you know, they've kind of met you. And so if you're an extrovert and you get up there and you're trying to be all inward, it really feels weird. And if you're an introvert and you're up there trying to smile like a Dallas, that's our favorite reference here, cheerleader the whole time, it doesn't, you know, it just makes people feel unsettled. So,
but there's something that's so, I don't know, it's like soul stirring about the dance and the music and what I've kind of learned from you about the process that people go through to really kind of get to know themselves in ways that I don't know how else you would access those parts of yourself.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I'm probably going to say it's interesting at the start of every answer because I just think it's all interesting.
We don't want a boring podcast,
my students
Karen.
say that. I say that a lot. They go, everything's interesting.
I know. Well, we don't want to be boring.
That's the way to live, isn't it? Isn't it?
Exactly. I always say fascinating. I'm fascinated all day long. And then my friend's like, Caesar salads aren't fascinating, Karen. Everything's not fascinating.
It's like, just interesting, really mean.
Yeah, right. Or amazing. I'm not allowed to say amazing anymore. Okay, go ahead.
I think it all is. So I had done a podcast with one of my dancers who's in this curriculum, and she is a licensed therapist, and her field of study was dance movement therapy. And she loves all of this because she understands it from a different angle and has over the years explained that angle to me. And then I have a niece who's a social worker that actually was explaining it in the same way to me. And a part of it is, you know, the way we carry ourselves says a lot about what we think about ourselves and how we see ourselves in time and space. And if you can tweak that carriage a little bit, then interestingly, it actually can spill over into other aspects of your life. And I have a lot of professionals that do this program that have to give a lot of presentations in front of a lot of important people, and they have said, not something they've thought through intellectually, but, you know, like having to go through all of these exercises and gain that level of confidence and the way you carry yourself and the way you move and the way you feel in your body when you're moving, getting more comfortable with all of that actually makes you feel a lot more comfortable about many things that go on in your life. So there's that that relationship, whether you choose to acknowledge it or not.
Makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. So what is the first step if someone comes into you and says, I want to be a belly dancer? What I mean, how do you start? We
have beginner classes at the studio, and I always tell them they have to go to beginner class. Even if they come in and say, I'm pretty sure that I've learned a lot of this already, either from YouTube or another dance instructor or whatever. Belly dance, again, unlike ballet, does not have a standard language. It's not a codified dance form. So what I call figure eights and hip circles and rib circles and all that, somebody else is calling a horizontal infinity sign and a chest isolation or whatever. And so we've got to get our language straight, if we're going to communicate. And I never know what level of detail any previous teachers have taught to. So I want to see what somebody's capable of and make sure I move them in the right direction from there. So that's always the first step. We've got beginner classes and you need to go to them. And even seasoned professional dancers that move to San Antonio, actually, especially seasoned professional dancers that move to San Antonio, when they talk to me and say, where should I start? I'm assuming I need to go into beginner class is the next thing they say, because they know we need to level that foundation and get on the same page, and then we can start moving forward.
It's like almost an unlearning process at that point, right?
At that point it is, yeah. But beginner classes are all about being able to learn how to move one body part and have absolutely everything else stay still. Because this is a dance that's made up of tiny little isolations through a part of our body from our neck to our knees that most of us in normal life don't necessarily even know how to move. And so there's a lot of neurological work that has to go on in the beginning, just figuring out what to even concentrate on to get that stuff to move.
Yeah. I mean, I am like, I am German and I dance like a robot. I'm just completely disconnected from my body. So I totally get that. Yeah. I don't know why I blame it on being German.
I don't either. I've got a lot of German. Stop that.
I know. That's what I'm going with now. But, go ahead.
No, but then one of the things is I had taken belly dancing classes probably
Sherri, 20 years ago. Every class that's ever been. Yeah, no, every class is available. Sherri's taken it.
It doesn't mean I continue with them, right? Right. It's like you can don't devote an hour or two to most anything.
Sherri's our classy lady.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
There you go. Oh, I like that. But one of the things that I was so, I guess, side effect is how present you have to be in the moment. You can't skate through a belly dancing class or just go through the motions because, to your point, there's so much energy. It's kind of like golfing or something, right? Is you have to be right there to pay attention and say, okay, move. And it doesn't always want to do what it needs to do.
So true. Focus. Yeah.
But it's there. But because of that, your brain gets this workout and rest at the same time because of being so present in the moment.
Yeah. Talk to us about breath. What's the breath involved with? Because it seems like it might even be like sort of a Kundalini experience with moving your spine in that way and those different parts of your bodies and like the right and left brain working together.
And that's an interesting thing because I have taken a lot of classes in all of this over the years. And there are people that do tie the breath to the movement tremendously, especially rib cage movement. And there's not just, there are a lot of reasons for that. And then there are teachers who completely disconnect the breath from the movement because it can influence your choice of movement as you go through a routine that is like using up a lot of energy. If that makes sense. Like, so your breathing is maybe labored. And if you're going to tell yourself, I need to breathe a certain way as I do this movement, then you're just going to eliminate that. Again, not necessarily intellectually, but your body's not going to choose to do that because it's not working for what you've got going on with your breathing right now. And so I have students that are in both categories. So we have to address it both ways. But I really only tie the breathing ever to the rib cage. I keep having the urge to demonstrate here from this chair. It's not going well.
Yeah, I love it.
But tying the breathing to the actions in the rib cage, and there are a lot. There are a lot of actions in the rib cage. In fact, that was, interestingly, tying this back to my sister and her hula dancing, that was the big obstacle for her. For me, I had to break my ballet training. For her, in hula dancing, it's all hips. There's nothing going on with your rib cage. And so that kind of action was her challenge. And I think actually breathing helped her a lot when she was learning that. And that's how I was able to pull that into what I do. But I actually am more on the side of breathe naturally and let other things inspire your movement choices.
But is it kind of like other exercises? I'm imagining like where you have to go like, remember to breathe, or no, it's just your body's moving in such a free flow. The breath sort of moves through you more naturally.
No, I do think that when you're concentrating really, really, really intensely on something, maybe anything, but certainly something with your body, there are times when you're like, oh my God, why am I feeling lightheaded? Oh, because I've just held my breath for 2 minutes while I'm trying to do this kind of thing. So I do have to remind people to breathe a lot of the time. And the deeper the initiating action of a movement, the more we have to remember to breathe, because that's where you really feel that tension trying to form a movement, and that's where we tend to hold our breath.
So what does that mean? Form a movement.
Now I'm really gonna have to stand up and do something.
Yeah, please do.
Well, like, okay, really, can I?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
But remember that this will be on a podcast, so people.
So I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk all the while I'm doing it.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
You're good.
I'm just going to make sure my hips are in the shot. See hips? There they are.
Yep.
And so I can do, so Sherri, you know this movement, right? So in our world, we call this Maya. And so it's a little infinity sign. See that? Like my hips are going up, out, and down, up, out, and down, up, out, and down, up, out, and down. So that's a pretty loose Maya. So now I'm going to start it from like in here really deep, up, out, and down, in really deep, up, out, and down. Do you see the difference there?
Yeah.
So that squeeze in this one I'm doing right here is actually making it difficult for me to talk.
Yeah. Wow.
It's squeezing so hard. But the range of motion that you'll get if you do that kind of thing is so much more intense than if you do it loosely. I could talk all day doing this, you know?
Wow. Does that feel really natural for you? Do you find yourself doing that during the day? Like because I notice you're very, like when you move and talk, you're really
animated.
Is that really sort of embedded in you now? Like you just.
I think probably it is. Yeah.
But what you just demonstrated is incredibly difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's just accessing some muscles that you only maybe in real life use if you have to bend over sideways and pick up something, which you wouldn't normally do. You would usually turn toward it, and so yeah.
I'm just happy if I can suck my stomach in and out at this point. Tell us about the people that show up to your class. I'm guessing it's really cathartic for people, like people going through divorces or wanting to lose weight or some sort of tragedy or something. Talk to us about that.
That's so true. I say that people come through the doors of my studio, 99% of them for one of two reasons, fitness or fantasy. So they're either just sick of sit-ups and they know they're not going to do them anymore, or they just need a break from something. I have a lot of nurses and school teachers, and I get a lot of people after significant emotional events, the death of a parent, a divorce, or whatever. Just, I need to do something totally out there. And to them, this falls in that category. So that now where they go from there, like of the people, for example, that are in my project band curriculum, which is that's grad school, man. When you're training yourself to be able to improvise to live music, that's grad school. Most of them probably came into the studio saying, I just want another form of exercise, or I just want a little escape. I'm not ever going to perform, but once you get in there and you start hearing the music and falling in love with it, and then, it's something that you want to continue doing. And so you have to kind of find that carrot to dangle in front of yourself to keep you going. And a lot of times that's in the form of a performance. So they end up sticking with it for a reason that they put out there. And I try to make all those reasons available at the studio.
Sherri, talk to us about your experience a little bit in belly dancing. Was Karen your instructor?
No, this was years before. This was when we lived in Ohio. And
did you feel differently after, or did you how was your mind space going in, and how was it after you were done with the course? Was it different? Did you move your body differently?
Yeah. And it was also really scary.
Yeah.
It was scary to, you know, I'm German too, and you know, corporate German, and in a male dominated industry, and it was just really, because you're moving differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you are moving differently. That's another thing I should probably say, is that there are probably 75% of the people that come into my studio come with a buddy.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not doing this alone. Who's going with me?
Yeah.
That makes sense. But I, you know, the two things attract, actually three things. But one of them is obviously the music. The music is, it's good music. Music just makes you want to move, right? There's something so primal in the air music world that you just have to move. But the other thing was the clothes.
Oh, that's gonna say that's what I would be in it for. The outfits,
and
makeup,
right? And the girly stuff. It's very feminine,
right. And that's part of the fantasy thing. Sometimes when people come in, can't wait to buy that costume. And I mean, honestly, the parts that I can remember back to when I first started performing, and I was like an adolescent, but oh my God, that was just so much fun. So much fun to get those costumes. They weren't as available then as they are now. Now, I mean, there are so many importers of costumes here in the country. Well, and now the world is such a tiny place. I mean, you can place an order online in Egypt and, you know, have it delivered, custom made. But
is there a name for the costume?
Bedla is what they tend to, that Bedla just means the standard two-piece costume. But there are so many different forms of costumes now. I mean, there are belly dance costumes that have bell-bottom pants and crop tops, you know, but they're all glittery. And then there's the usual, what you would expect, two-piece costume. But there's some that just have pounds and pounds of fringe dripping off of them, and others that don't have any fringe, that just have like some maybe sparkly sequins and paillettes on it. Now, at this point in my life, I wear full dresses, but they're like really form-fitting dresses, but they're just, you know, like embellished with tons of glittery stuff, and you know, lights hit them. It's just magnificent. So there's all styles now of costumes. Back when I was starting out, that didn't exist.
I see that you're having a garage sale at the studio, garage sale and mimosas.
I like that.
It's National Mimosa Day. The day of our garage sale is National Mimosa Day.
I mean, who knew that there was such a day? But
it's every day at our house.
But the idea, I'm just sorry, don't live near you. It's almost worth getting on a plane to come.
For sure.
Yeah. Hey, if you knew some of the girls that have told me that they're going to bring in some of their things to sell, whoo, they've got some good stuff. Because some of them have been dancing for decades, you know, and just like any clothing, you develop your favorites. And then you start realizing, I never wear that anymore. Why am I keeping this? You know, and so we always have new dancers coming in that want a costume. They're not cheap, obviously, because there's a lot of hand work that goes into that. And so, yeah, if you can get something that's only been worn a time or two by a comrade for a reduced price, that's a thing to do.
Do you see any correlation between belly dancing and like burlesque at all? Because it's sort of sensual and slow and different. It, you know, kind of moves with the vibration. Do you see any correlation there?
I just had like a barrage of thoughts, and I'm remembering an Arab man that he was the brother of someone in the band. One time we were sitting in a club together, and one of the dancer came out and started dancing, and somebody said, "She doesn't seem like a very sexy dancer." And his response was, "Any kind of movement can be sexy though." And I was like, that's interesting. Like the way a person walks can be sexy, right? So I actually have dancers who do burlesque also. I have dancers who do pole dancing also. You know, I have dancers who have a lot of that kind of crossover training. And I'm going to say it helps them, you know, it helps them. I don't know if it's just purely confidence and the additional training for how they perceive their body and their comfort level with their body. You definitely have to be comfortable with your body to be able to do this. You know, I always say that's why I feel like I don't see a lot of teenagers in my class. Ever so often I'll get some teens in my class, but I remember when I was a teenager, I was not comfortable in my body. You know, most of my students are 25 or over because you start kind of getting into your groove about who you are. So yeah, I would say there are some similarities. I caution my dancers about coming across, and I'm right now, can you see, I'm thinking what exactly, what exactly do I mean by this? But I don't want them to come across as a burlesque dancer who's doing a belly dance today. Like, if you want to come across as a belly dancer who's doing burlesque when you're doing that, that's whatever, girly, you know, knock yourself out. But, and it's just me being guarded about the stereotyping around this dance form, which I feel like spills into a little bit of diminishing that entire region. And it's just something that I've experienced my entire life. So I'm very, very guarded about that.
So talk about that, Karen, a little bit. Because for many people, all they know is, you know, Hollywood, if you will.
Right.
So talk about the cultural and art form aspect of the dance.
Well, you know, when belly dance first made its way to the United States, if you saw photos of the women that were doing this, and belly dance was not anything that they ever called it, or Middle Eastern dance even. I mean, we could go into an argument about Middle East, middle of what, right? Who calls it that? So when it first came to the United States, the women were all covered up, you know, and gradually over time in the Arab world, they started displaying their midriff. And a woman, what was her name? Badia Masabni. She opened a casino and had trained dancers dancing there dressed in this two-piece thing. And lo and behold, she got a lot more traffic and a lot more money, largely from Western soldiers and all of that. But it's got that commercial aspect to it, you know, and that just kind of implies, you know, what do I need to do here to make the most money? And that never goes over well in the arts for somebody who's in the arts for the arts. And so that's part of why I guess I'm guarded about that.
Are there men ballet dancers? Is that a dumb question?
No, that's not a dumb question at all. There are some really good male belly dancers. Back when I was first getting into it, there were very few that you could find. But now they're all everywhere. They're even in the Middle East, and that was unheard of in the 70s, 80s, 90s. But now,
I've never even seen
them. Me neither.
That's why.
I would not have even thought of that question, which is silly.
That's why I'm here.
Right. I know it, I guess.
Well, you know, if you go to an Arab nightclub and the singer is singing and the band is playing and everyone jumps up and is dancing, you'll see men dancing, and a lot of their movements are things I teach in my class. You know, it's just what they do naturally. I mean, not some of the more sensual stuff, maybe, but even some of that probably. So it's not far off from what they do naturally, really.
What about couples? Can you dance in a couple, belly dancers? Is there a yin and a yang to it? Could you do that? Or no, it's not really part of it?
Not really. I mean, I've seen that done on stage, but it's a very deliberate staging to make that work.
And that would seems like you'd really have to be connected with somebody, you know, vibrationally to really do that. That seems like a whole other level. Yeah. There is
a lot of the things I've seen on stage with a belly dancer and then a man up on stage too has been more like the guys do some really folkloric style dancing, and then they tend to frame the woman as she's doing the normal belly dance things. You know what I mean? Cool. So that's more of what I see.
So could you tell us, you just did that sort of movement with your hands, which is, I think, something typical that people think of with belly dancers. What is that called? Like, when you
I don't even know what I did.
You kind of like went, I mean, I'm going to splash it. But you know how they put their hands in front of their face and like,
so there are some poses that seem my chair that are they feel relatively typical for that form. What I was doing just now is just that was a hand wave. These are wrist circles. And a lot of that is meant to correlate with what your torso is doing. Like if you're doing a waving action with your torso, your hand tends to pick it up too, just to kind of drive the shape a little bit deeper. And ditto with the circular thing.
Where your hand goes is kind of where your mind goes as well. Like when you're horseback riding, where your hands go is kind of where your horse goes. That's kind of the same thing, like, because the hands are sort of the tool of the mind. Is that helpful? Like a marker sort of?
That is so interesting that you say that, because most of the dancers' hands and arms react in response to what their torso is doing. A lot of times their arms and hands are the afterthought. And actually we do a lot of training because they'll watch videos of themselves and go, oh, for God's sakes, my arms are all over the place. Well, okay, that's because your torso is carrying the tune of the music. So we have to come at it from the other direction and actually sort of choreograph the arms. So they're going to stay, now they're going to move, kind of like what you're saying, you know, that acknowledging that link between the mind and the extremities first, and let that inspire what the torso does. But that is not a natural thing for someone who's trained in this dance form.
Mm-hmm.
Huh, fascinating. So Karen, talk about listening. How do you teach people to really listen and hear the music and internalize that? How do you do that?
Well, so many ways. Sure.
Well, there was I taught Nia, which is a form of dance, and for years. And one of the things that we would do is we would lay on the floor. You have the music, play the music. You just lay on the floor and be quiet. And then you would like be an instrument, and you would move through the room as when the trumpet played or the percussion played, or when the vocalist was singing, you would move through the room. And the other people would be, you know, there. So there'd be a room full of people, dancers, but you would move based upon what piece you were.
Yes.
Right?
Okay. We do some of that. Yes, we do some of that. Mm-hmm.
And I found that was, I mean, I actually did this in Houston at the Opera House with like 100 people.
Wow.
And it was one of the most magical experiences of my life.
Yes.
You know, we were playing to Chicago or something. It was just so surreal. But I also, I mean, it was a wonderful way to kind of learn to listen differently.
Right. Right. So we do that kind of thing. One of the first songs I use on people in a new school year, where I test their ability to listen, and I ask them to move their torsos literally on the vocals, is California Dreamin' by the Mamas and the Papas.
Okay.
Because there's that overlap from the lead singer to the chorus, right? So Mama Cass, is that who was it?
Yeah.
So somebody's singing. All the leaves are, and when they say brown, the chorus comes in, all the leaves are. So there's that overlapping thing. And so I'll divide the room into two and say, okay, you guys are the lead, you guys are the chorus, move when you hear your person. And invariably they're waiting for the other group to finish, but that's not what's happening. There's an overlap. And so we do that kind of thing. And I'll play it, the recorded version, which everybody's heard a million times. And then I'll find as many versions of those guys in concert as I can find, because live is always different. And that's my point, right? That's my point. Live is always different. And so, and then I'll find the person on American Idol that did it, you know, and that's going to be a different arrangement, and that's going to have confusing other instrumentation and all that kind of stuff. And just having them try to stay focused on their assignment, even with all that other stuff going on. So we do some of that. I also make them map out the music at a macro level, you know, like 8 counts, 8 counts, 8 counts, 8 counts. Okay, that's a verse. And now here's 8 counts, 4. That's the refrain. And then here's 8 counts, that's the little instrumental bridge. Okay, now here we go, another verse, blah, blah, blah. And so they get a sense of the overall structure of a piece of music. We do this a lot for the Arabic music. And then
I was going to say, how do you do that for the Arabic music? Because it's just such a different sound.
But you can do it. So Sherri, if you look online under Project Band Drills,
I think I will. And I have to say, I have I experienced Karen's classes remotely. So, but I haven't gotten past the beginner.
It's okay. But the month of March, we dedicated to music mapping.
Okay.
And
how
so
cool is that? I can't wait. Yeah.
Do you maps there to show how you do it? And we started with Long Train Runnin' by the Doobie Brothers, because that's an easy one.
Okay. Do you do vibrational music at all, Karen? Like hertz, different hertz levels, like there's all different kind of vibrational music. Have you worked with that at all?
No, we don't. But that's an interesting possible addition, isn't it?
Yeah, that really that that really is very profound effect on people, the different hurts. And there's a different hurt, you know, for everything, for love.
You're right.
Yeah.
I'm writing that down.
I would be interested to reach back and hear how that went for you guys. So
yeah,
how that changed the movement.
No, that's an excellent consideration. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. So that's what we do. And again, mostly for me, the important step there is to have them retrain their listening to a piece of music that they've heard a million times, whether it's the Juby Brothers or the Mamas and the Papas or Wael Kafori or whoever, some Arab singer, and then go to their live versions. And with that new level of listening, be able to identify what's different in the live. And, you know, we always laugh because we can do so much while seated. And then you stand up and you have to move to it in response, and everything is different. Everything is different. And then if you have to move in response to what you're hearing and what you're making yourself focus on hearing, and there are people watching you, then that's different. And so those are all the steps that we go through.
What I like to do with books is I like to read it in English, and then I like to hear it in the native tongue, and then I listen to it again in a different tongue, and it really solidifies the literature for me. I was wondering, do you ever listen to the same song in different languages?
Yes, we do. As much as possible. Yeah,
that's cool.
We have done that.
So what is the first move you learn when you go to belly dance? Like, what is belly dance 101? What is the very first move that you're taught?
A hip sway. That is just pushing your hip here. Okay. Sorry, people that are just listening. I'm going to talk about it. So stand with your feet underneath your hips so you can use your legs as levers, because we all know how to use our legs, even if we don't know how to use anything else. Yeah. Knees are slightly bent, and you just alternate slightly straightening one leg and then the other. And that's just pushing your hips upward. Okay. That's all. The key is to hold everything from the waist up as still as possible. That's the trick. So you don't want to punch out from side to side. You want to make sure it's super controlled. So that's the first thing you learn. And it's the first thing you learn because most people can do it successfully at about 75%. And so then all of those people that have called me once a month for the last year trying to get their courage up and finally made it into the classroom can go, okay, you know what? Maybe I can do this.
Yeah. Talk to us about balance, because it seems like you would need a really good core and a sense of balance to be able to move like that.
Absolutely. Balance is super, 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 super critical. And we spend a lot of time from class number 1, Sherri can tell you this probably, on one leg.
I was going to say, do you really center your feet and get into the corners of your feet? And
Oh yeah. We have, and we practice like what I just did. We'll do that on one leg, on releve, rock back on your heels, like find every place possible to do that, so that, because again, training toward improvisation, you know, who knows, you come out of a turn and you land weird or whatever. You don't want to compromise whatever happens next. You want to be able to get your balance back and regroup. So yeah.
What about with your feet? Are you doing anything with up on your toes or your feet when you're moving? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And so we'll stand there, you know, like our feet are like this, and we'll come up on the ball of one foot and do that movement. And then we'll come back to flat, and then on the ball of the other foot, and then we'll alternate back and forth like that, sustaining that torso movement and making sure that there's no hiccups in what's happening in our torso just because of the weight shifting in our feet.
Wow. So but what I'm just listening as an older woman, right? So one of the biggest challenges we have as we age is balance.
Yes.
And it sounds like just to take up, even if you just take up belly dancing and do your classes, and I want you to talk about your classes remote, just do it at home, if nothing else, just to gain strength and core strength and balance.
Core strength and balance and coordination. You know, my oldest dancer, and she'll be dancing to the live music of the Talks Ensemble when they're here in San Antonio, is 85 years old. And every time she whips out 3 spins in a row on stage, I just go, man, like I know 18-year-olds that can't do 3 spins without going.
Yeah.
Right.
Happen, you know? Yeah. She's our poster child for sure, but absolutely, you know? And
I mean, can you just think about it? It's just a bunch of older women just dancing their hearts out, and how it's just keeps you young.
Yeah.
really, I think it's just fantastic. I think all dance is good. Okay, let's just back it up even more from that. Any movement
Right,
is going to
right.
be good for you.
Yeah.
Dancing is great because you've got that concentration. You know, am I doing what I mean to be doing? That link going on. Belly dancing, this intricate, tiny torso stuff. And like we were saying, the amount of focus it requires, the amount of presence it requires to make that work. I just feel like that I plan on living to be really, really old and having a good quality of life the entire time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's got a good fat life going on there,
she
doesn't
sure
she?
does.
Well, and you want, and when you move like that too, you want to eat good. I mean, it's just, you just eat better,
Yeah.
right?
So true.
Mhm.
So true. Yeah, because when you're, oh my gosh, yeah, when you are moving around and, you know, like all of these things in your torso, you feel everything. You really feel everything. And I just think, like, it can be uncomfortable in the beginning, but I think if you take good care of yourself, it's a fantastic feeling to feel that strength and to know that you're actually massaging organs as you do this. You know, it's just,
Right.
it's good in every way.
And hydration has to be so important, right? To keep your joints kind of lubricated and
Yes.
and is in hydration, isn't it totally connected with balance? If you're not hydrated, your balance.
Exactly. Yeah. You can
Mind
feel
health
it
as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Is there a
Okay.
special kind of makeup that typical belly dancers do, or is that changed over the years, or what does that look like usually? And is there a lot of work in the face and like eye contact when you dance as a belly dancer?
This is so fun. You know, I told you that after this, I'm going to record one of my podcasts, and it's going to be with one of my project band girls she's been in dance forever and ever, much like myself. And we're going to talk about expression and all of that sort of thing. It's an interesting concept in this dance form because, like, if you get up and dance to Long Train Running or California Dreaming, that music is going to evoke something from you, you know, a memory or a feeling or something that's likely going to come across in your face.
Mhm.
When they're singing in Arabic and
Mhm.
all you've got maybe is that you've looked up a translation, a very bad one, into English, because there's not a one-to-one correlation at all in language, then people can get really nervous about how their face looks and what's going on. And I always tell them, you know, like, most of these songs are love songs, okay? A lot of them are about lost love, okay? But honestly, what tends to happen for me is primarily just joy. It's so fun to be dancing and be able to move your body like this. And there can be really introspective moments in the music, but you can feel it. Once you've trained yourself to work with this music, when the rhythm changes, when the maqam, that's a tonal scale, when that changes, you can feel that.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel that, and you can pull a little bit more inward. But when the rhythm picks up again, and when the sounds are a little bit more happy, then just that projection of joy, I feel like, reads well. And
you kind of smile with your eyes.
yes, you can smile with your eyes. It doesn't have to be a big beaming smile. There are all kinds of levels of that, right, to display. So yeah. And a lot of my students, when they're newer and starting out, I just don't want them to count, right? I don't want them to look like they're petrified. I don't want the audience to be worried about anybody, you know. I want them to have fun. And so, you know, I try to make sure that they know that that's really the point here. Don't get so wrapped up on thinking, what acting class do I need to take to get this piece of music across? Not at all. You know, this is the happy thing. This is the happy thing. And most of the music we work with is.
It's good.
To the point of makeup, you know, a lot of, it's really only recently that belly dance in the United States has been pulled off of restaurant floors
Mm-hmm.
and up onto the stage. And so that has changed a lot here recently. A couple of my gals in the live music curriculum are like professional makeup artists, and they could really talk to this. But I will say that, you know, that upward tilt in the eyes, you know, that pulling a Princess Jasmine and kind of look almost is something that a lot of the dancers go for when they're up on the stage. A lot of my performing days were before the dance got lifted off of the restaurant floor. So I was literally right there in front of the people, and you don't want to, you know, have all that going on when you're that close to your audience.
Mm-hmm.
So Karen, talk quickly about your online class. And if somebody was wanting to learn more, how would they find you?
So you can find me. My studio is named Karavan, starting with a K, which is the dumbest idea. Don't do that, okay? Because when you say Karavan, everyone looks under C because that's how it's spelled. But I was being clever in my 20s, opening a business. So I spelled it with a K for Karen. So it's caravansa, as in San Antonio.com. That's my website. And so from there, you can see the online class site. And it is currently populated probably with 1,500 videos, I'm going to guess, just a lot of material. But it's categorized as beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And within intermediate and advanced, you can do a fitness type of thing, which is like drills classes and building endurance and coordination. Or you can learn choreographies, which are, you know, set dances to specific pieces of music. And then off to the side of all of that is what we call Project Band, that live music curriculum. And those are extremely advanced drills classes for coordination and endurance. And then a lot of these little mini workshops like music mapping and listening skills and, you know, things of that nature to develop your musicality.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
I know.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, are there any injuries involved with belly dancing? Is it like any other like sport or dance where like, oh, belly dancers, they lose whatever, where you know, like a typical injury?
Okay, I'm going to find some wood here.
Okay.
I have not experienced any injuries because of this. And if I was going to have any injuries, they would be of overuse, right? Because I'm in the studio 7 days a week. But I haven't. When I hurt myself, it's because I went to the gym to try to build more strength in something that I feel like would serve me better in my dancing, but I'm not hurting it by dancing.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, speaking of serving people better, we always want our guests to let our listeners give them some advice of where they are right now, sitting at home where they don't have to go do anything or buy anything. What is something that they could do to think about being a belly dancer or become a belly dancer? Or what's some level that they could start at home to start getting in sort of that space of wanting to be a belly dancer?
Of wanting to be a belly dancer.
Or some advice you could give.
Or just moving.
Just general advice.
Moving,
yeah.
You know,
moving in a healthy way.
Yeah, moving in a healthy way. I think that everybody can dance. And I don't know what is in people's minds as they're dancing, but like if somebody was out on the dance floor with me, just at a club, and we were dancing, and they were like, hey, you know what? I want to start taking belly dance classes. When can I do that? And I would tell them the schedule, and then I would say, and right now, whatever you're doing, I want you to just think about what your hips are doing. You know, because people aren't thinking about what their hips are doing when they're, okay, I'm going to do my last demonstration. If you're out on the dance floor and you're going like this, okay, so here I am, I'm just jamming. I'm doing like a little step touch, but my hips are moving in response to my feet. And if I just suddenly think about that and just try to make that happen without my feet, that puts you so much more in tune with everything right here to stop your legs from driving it. And it's like a breakthrough kind of thing that happens when you refocus like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's got to feel very freeing.
Yes. Yes. It's sort of like gaining control over something that you just assumed you never really would be able to.
Oh, wow. Well, it's been so great.
Yeah, it's been amazing having you, Karen.
Thank you. Yeah. It's so fun. I mean, obviously I could just yammer about this eternally. So I appreciate you asking me to for an hour.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Anytime.
So it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so once
too.
again, it's caravansa.com to find you.
Caravan with a K.
Caravan with a K.
Yeah.
Right.
And guys, don't forget to go on our QR code or text to 55678 Inspired GFL, or click on the QR code to get a digital subscription. And it's time for you to go off and live your good fat life. Karen, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank
Karen
you.
has another podcast she has to get to, and we really appreciate you being here today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
That's awesome.
Bye.
Bye. Well, Sherri, that was amazing. Today has been super amazing, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We have a lot of amazing experiences exciting things happening
I'm
today,
going,
right?
yep. And I'm just now motivated to get back home and get my class and go to my classes.
Well, I'm super motivated to do the makeup. And that's a really great segue. Speaking of makeup, hey!
Oh my gosh!
It's London. Hey guys! Hi. We love. Our guest had to leave, but she was a belly dancer. We were just talking about the makeup as a belly dancer.
Right.
Yeah.
Let us get settled.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I didn't close the door.
I'm sitting in my strings.
Welcome.
Good in
It smells
here.
really good in here.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Oh my gosh,
Yes,
of course.
yeah.
Thank you for having us.
I have to say I was a little intimidated. I got rushed this morning and I didn't. And I'm like,
Me too.
and
I'm
I'm like,
let me touch it up. Let me freshen up.
yeah.
Yeah. So for guys
Yeah.
who don't know, this is Beauty Underground from London Beauty, and they're joining us today, right? And,
Yeah. We're crashing your party.
Kathleen London and Amelia Bird, thank you for being here today. And
Yeah.
we're sort of cross-pollinating today, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, Kathleen, you had this idea why I put my makeup on. Why don't you tell us what you
Well,
why you wanted to do this?
You know, I was on your podcast. It feels like 100 years
does.
ago, right?
100%,
I don't know
yeah.
when that was. I need to silence my phone.
Yeah.
And it was 100 years ago, but it really got us thinking about the messaging that you guys had, the messaging that we had, and what a great platform this all is, right? So anyhow, with that said, we developed the Beauty Underground and we record right after you guys.
Yeah.
And so we thought, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be really fun to crash your party? Because we talk about a lot of the same things we did
Sure
on
do.
the podcast. And I think it's really cool to bring women together, bring these ideas together. That's what we do in the shop. That's what you guys are doing in the magazine. So it's really nice to do that, bring everybody together, which I just love.
And
right?
I love the cross-pollination because the magazine this month is in the next 3 months is Bloom, right? So yeah, and springtime. So what kind of things are you guys looking at makeup wise in spring and health and wellness? Like what are the, what is, how do you change your sort of, how does it change from winter to spring, beauty and wellness? Like, can you guys give us a few buzzwords or,
Well, I would say too, like that whole like winter and spring color thing is a bit old school. So, and I only hear that when people say like, what about winter and spring?
Yeah.
I'm always
Are
like,
you a winter or something? Yeah.
that's so like circa
Yeah.
1987.
Yeah, where you had the colors held up. to your
Right.
face.
Yeah. Which clearly we're all color girls and we wear whatever color we
Right.
feel like. So that's one of we have an episode about the rules, that the rules are out the door these
there are no
days.
rules. Yeah.
There are no rules. It's what makes you feel comfortable. So I know Amelia helps a lot of our clients transition with their skincare, particularly.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like a lot of people, especially going into spring, summer, focus not mainly, but more towards skincare than they do makeup. And I think it's just because like everyone gets a little bit like more glowy. You lose that like winter skin almost because like everyone's so translucent, especially in Michigan in the winter.
Yeah, I actually go see-through.
Yeah. So I think people just get like their freckles kind of start to come out. You know, they start to get a little bit more like bronzy. So they're more willing to like skip foundation and have like a more like simple routine.
Which means exfoliating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to self tan at all,
Oh, yeah.
face or otherwise body,
Yeah.
if you're going to want your skin to really glow, we have to, it's like shedding your skin like a snake, right?
Yeah.
We need to
Also
like,
sunscreen.
and also
Yeah.
sunscreen.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to sit in the sun and sit on the boat and sit in the lake and sit in the woods and do all those things, we need to get all that dead skin off so our skin can really breathe and glow.
Yeah.
But Amelia, how often should you exfoliate?
It depends on your skin type, but like usually 3 times a week is
Oh my
usually
gosh.
enough for people.
Very fluffy.
What are you at right now?
Sure, it's like once a year.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Exactly. I was so looking forward to this conversation. Yeah, seriously, I don't do it at all.
I think
I use a washcloth.
That is a form of manual exfoliation.
Okay, cool.
But that's not enough.
Exfoliating.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't exfoliate a lot either. And I'm horrible about it. And I use a washcloth too. So I get where you're going. But every once in a while, you just need to do some sort of like scrub or a peel or like brightening. Anything that says brightening generally is going to fall into that category.
Oh gosh.
Are there people that the skin type they should slough more than others? Is it drier skin? Or
I think people usually with drier skin are just like with like really uneven textures, or people who have like a lot of like pigmentation that they want to help like reduce.
Okay.
I think people with like usually like oily or acneic skin tend to over like treat their skin and tend to like over exfoliate just because they like think that's what they need to do to like get rid of the breakouts. But oftentimes, especially, I mean, it depends on what the type, like the product that you're using. But if it doesn't have the right form of like exfoliation, it can actually cause like micro tears in your skin, which is just gonna like
that's what I've always been scared about.
Yeah. Well, that's because this is an age thing. It's that dang apricot scrub that was out.
Oh,
yes. Apricot
69.
And it had apricot shell bits. Right. So that's what you don't want to use because they're not spherical. They're not going to evenly scrub your face. You want something that is either spherical.
So if that is something that you're afraid of, then you could use like a chemical exfoliant.
Yes.
So that's just something that's going to like literally break the bond between like the dead skin and like your like healthy skin currently, and it'll just like slough everything off in one go.
So is that something you buy that product, or do I need to go to an esthetician? And
you can buy stuff like at like drugstores or like at London Beauty.
Oh, of course. I mean,
but you can also source
my source for all skincare.
But you can also go see an esthetician.
We have to talk about that oil in a minute too.
Oh,
the cellular oil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't it nice?
Yeah, we'll come back.
Okay.
I was nervous for a second. I was like, oh my gosh, what is she?
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you, I know that whole line is really nice. And actually, it's funny you bring that up because one of my favorite exfoliants, because I have tiny pores. Amelia hates that.
I do.
But I have tiny pores, but it also means so I don't get a lot of
kind
acne.
of mad at you too, I'm not gonna lie.
Right, but I don't get a lot of
Is that
acne
what
or
the difference is? I didn't get much acne either.
Yeah, so we have tiny pores, but we also tend to be really dry because we're not producing as much oil. So we're gonna get that like dryness factor. But I find if like Ayuna, which is the line we're talking about with the oil. So Ayuna makes this, it's a little messy, it's a little high maintenance, but since I don't have to do it as often, I don't care. It's a gommage. So it's like an old school French technique, I think, I think it was French.
I believe so.
For getting dead skin off. Because what you do is you put this like paste, it's like a weird paste on your skin. And then it sits, and so it does a little bit of that acid peel. It uses like a lactic acid, which is like what you get in milk, right?
Right.
You put that, and it sits there for a little bit, and it gets gummy or
it gets like tacky almost.
a little tacky or thick. It like starts to, you don't want it to get hard. And then you just lean over the sink and you start to pill it off.
Okay.
So it pills. If it smears, it's not dry enough. So no smear.
Yeah.
You want pilling.
Yeah.
So if you smear, you're like, nope, not dry enough.
Yeah.
That one's super nice because you can be super like lazy with it almost. After you like peel it off your face, that's it. Like the oil that's like left on your skin
Is what's in the roller ball.
Is what's in the roller ball. It's designed to be like a serum. So you can put a moisturizer on top, or you can kind of quit at that point, but you shouldn't rinse your face.
And how often would you do that?
I would say, look, that one, because it like takes some time, once to twice a week.
Yeah.
I'm super lazy too. So I probably do it once every couple of weeks, and I just take the time because then I can massage the oil into my skin.
I'm seeing a little
I
champagne.
know.
Maybe.
I know.
Exactly.
I saw like a long cigarette. They don't smoke, but a long cigarette extender. Like,
And maybe like a kimono. Like
yes, for sure. Always kimonos. Always are my favorite.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's the cool thing about it.
So you make it into your like beauty time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You make
Yes.
it your beauty time. And then, so like maybe you take your shower and like they have a charcoal mask as well.
I used
that's
that one
really
this
beautiful.
morning.
Oh, charcoal mashes.
your skin is just
masks
glowing.
scare me.
Oh,
It's-
this
yeah.
is
No.
foundation because you should see all the breakouts I have on my cheek right
just
now.
say thank you. You look beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the charcoal in this, it's actually activated volcanic glass and it's beautiful. Like it's the shiny black stuff. And so I was nervous about it too. Well, it doesn't, it does dry out. So it's really good to do right before your shower because it's kind of a pain to get off in the sense of like, it's messy. It's black.
Yeah.
But you put it on, you can put it under your eyes. Like
That's how I
on-
used it this morning. Is like an eye mask, like an eye gel.
Yeah. And
Oh,
so you
that's
put it,
awesome.
you like a football player, you do that like
Yeah.
swipe.
Right.
And then you, whatever, brush your teeth, get in the shower, and then you just rinse it all off your face. Great. And then when you get out, you put on your kimono, you get your gommage, and then you gommage your face. So you can kind of use both pieces because one's going to like brighten and tighten, and the other one's going to create that circulation. Because the other thing for us that's important is that circulation creates collagen, basically. That's a
And flow to-
dumb,
yeah.
like flow
to your face, right?
flow to your face. So the blood circulation is going to help with fine lines and wrinkles. It's going to help, like, you know, create a brighter, more youthful looking skin because your skin's going to produce oxygen and blood flow. So that's like a really good thing because you're really massaging, you're forcing yourself to massage your skin.
I'm afraid of charcoal though. Every time I use charcoal, it feels so, especially the mask that you pull off, it feels
No,
like
you don't want
so.
to use this. Yeah,
Are
those
those,
crazy.
is charcoal more like pulling out, or why does charcoal do that as opposed to other masks? It seems like it's the most like aggressive,
Well,
like
Some of the ones that that you put on and then you like peel off and it comes off in a strip, a lot of those actually have glue in them.
oh, that explains it.
So-
It feels like it has like gorilla glue. in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of that, and a lot of that is probably just like the vellus hairs on your face being ripped off. So it's almost like a wax.
It's like a Chinese torture.
Yeah, it's like a wax. But charcoal itself shouldn't, I mean, it might like sting, especially if you have like open pores
Right.
or like an open spot on your face, but it shouldn't hurt you.
No,
Yeah.
and it's detoxifying.
Yeah.
So like
Okay.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So back in the day, I've told Amelia this. I used to use this like charcoal and clay mask when I was, I don't know, I want to say 16. I've been a beauty junkie forever.
Right?
Do you guys remember Borghese?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I knew
Yeah.
it now. All right, I'm my girl.
Remember Giorgio Beverly
Yeah.
Hills?
Right, oh my
Those terrible
gosh.
perfumes.
Right, so, and that was like the yellow and white
Yeah.
and Borghese, and this was all at the mall.
Yeah,
So we're
but it was
talking, like,
fancy though. Like everyone wanted
Oh,
to get
yeah,
Borghese.
that was-
yeah, and it was like
High-end,
high-end
shishi, yeah.
mall. Like I'd beg my mom.
Expensive, yeah.
Expensive. And it was, you know, we're talking like 87, like late 80s. So it felt
Yeah.
very bougie.
Yeah,
whatever.
for sure.
And they made a glass pot with like one of those click lids.
Yes,
that had them.
I remember.
Oh my gosh, makeup memories. I love it.
Makeup memories.
Yeah.
And they were like an early outlier that like did stuff that was more natural. They didn't claim natural per se, but like because it was like earth and clay and you could put that on your skin.
Yeah.
So if you think about how that used to make you feel, that's why you're thinking like, oh, charcoal and clay, it's going to be like really
Yeah.
like,
And it really felt tight.
Yeah.
right. Because it was really clay with charcoal. And so this, the one we're talking about, it's truly just charcoal. So it's thin and a little like you don't put it on very thick, and then when you wash it off, it's just gone.
Yeah.
It's
And
like charcoal
the
powder.
texture of it is really interesting because if you try to like overlap it, it almost like removes itself.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
So it's
interesting.
you literally just have to like swipe it. You can't like try to. This isn't a mask that you're gonna have like a pretty face mask on. It's not that face mask you're gonna put on to take like a selfie.
Right.
You know.
It's not your best kimono mask.
No, it's
Yeah.
not.
No,
It's
this
not.
is pre-kimono.
That's free kimono.
Pre-kimono, you just worked in the
Yeah.
yard or you worked
Yeah.
out and you put this on, you
Okay.
smear it on, you
All right.
brush your teeth, you whatever,
All right.
let it harden and or not harden, but just like let it do its thing and then
Tighten.
tighten and then you go in the shower and rinse it off. So
Awesome.
it's definitely good for those grubby days
Yeah.
or in the morning if you just do under your eyes to brighten and tighten like on those wine nights
Yeah.
where you wake up
Right.
the next day and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
So it's good
Oh,
for
I
that.
don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking
I have
about.
no idea what you mean. What do you mean? When you wake up in your kimono from the next morning. Anyway.
I was going to ask. So what about? I mean, but what about like things for under eyes to just help your eyes, like the bags we get under our eyes?
I mean, massaging.
Massaging,
yeah.
is
Really?
big. Honestly,
Yeah.
like your water consumption, which I know is annoying to hear.
Yeah.
No, but those are
important.
things.
Yeah.
But those are things. It's like it works.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
reasons to drink a lot
Yeah.
of water.
Yeah.
And like less salt, right? Doesn't salt draw like your eyes?
A lot of it too is honestly just genetics.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I mean,
Stinks, but
Yeah.
it's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all the same stuff you guys talk about in terms of like life and, you know, good fats versus bad fats.
Right.
Like they're still fats. Great. If I'm trying to lose weight, I still need to not eat guacamole. But you know,
can eat
Oh,
guacamole.
don't talk down about the avocado in our presence. Please.
no, but I mean, I probably shouldn't
No, you
eat the
shouldn't eat-
entire bowl
Well,
of guacamole.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
With
Like,
a bag of chips.
with the
Right.
bag of
Yeah,
chips,
that's
right.
the
Use
chips are
celery.
right. Yeah.
I can do my avocado on my toast or I
Yeah.
have to refine my
yeah.
fats, right?
Right.
Like I can't just like go ham. and-
Even good fat can be bad fat.
that's
if you
what
eat
I mean,
27
right?
of
So
them a
you
day.
have to like
Right.
think it through, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with all these things. Like, you know, there are some things you can never go wrong with. Water,
Yep.
right? You're always, I don't care where you are, what you're doing, water, right?
Yeah, right.
Always. Coffee's not bad for you, actually. There's great benefits to coffee.
Right.
Should I drink it like I have an IV in my arm?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. There's also a lot of caffeine in products, right? And that's good for your skin
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Caffeine's really good. So so it's kind of that stuff you guys talk about, like, hey, you know, don't talk down about the avocado. The avocado is actually good.
Yeah.
It's the chip and the
Yeah.
full thing at the
Right.
and the margarita. That
Right.
get you, right.
Right. 2 margaritas.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so and it's like water.
Yeah.
Like we all
Yeah.
know we should drink it, but do we carry our liter of water around with us? And
Yeah.
those are all things in the spring. I think all winter we've been self-soothing with the things. You know, I take super hot baths. I come out like a
do too.
lobster.
Yeah, I do too.
It is my
It's-
favorite
yeah,
thing.
but it's
on
not
the,
good for your skin, right? It's
Horrible.
horrible.
You're
Yeah, me
so
too.
drying.
Yeah.
terrible, absolutely. But you know, like you're self-soothing. It like
Yeah.
feels so good in
Right.
the winter.
Yep.
But if you put salts and Epsom salts and oils
Yeah.
in the bath, that's got to help a little.
Oh yeah. I mean, it
Yeah.
all
Right.
diminishes the return a
Right,
little bit. But
correct.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you're still drying your skin out. You're not supposed to take super hot showers, super hot baths, all that
Right.
stuff. But
It is what it is.
I'm cold.
Yeah.
I know,
I know.
you're
Yeah.
Not gonna not
Yeah.
do it just because you
No.
so
So
might
I-
have nicer
right.
skin.
Right.
But I bet you do those more in the winter than you do in the summer.
For sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So all winter we're doing the things that make us like feel cozy and comfy and that's my chips and
Yeah.
guacamole.
Yeah.
But then you get into summer and you're like, oh, I want to, you know, I'm going to start
Yeah.
fresh, just like the flowers in
Yeah.
the ground.
Yeah.
You're
You're
going to
gonna bloom, yeah.
exfoliate. You're going to get yourself together.
You're
know.
going to glow, right? You guys
Yeah.
brought up glow when you came in, and I want to talk to you about you have to have an inner glow, right? And
Yes.
so we don't realize it's not just your skin, too. It's also like what we listen to, who
Yeah.
we hang out with, what we watch on TV, the music we listen to. Do you find that different people that are going through different things, the happier the person, the more they're glowing, or what do you guys do to glow?
Well, I can tell you years ago when I lost a consecutive amount of family members, I was at a new job. I'd moved back to New York City. And I remember looking in the mirror one day and I thought I was fine. Like I was like, okay, I'm moving forward. I'm good. Do you know that my eyes were like totally dark? Like my eyelid, like dark. It looked like I had shadow on even when I washed my eyes. And I hadn't noticed it. And I looked at myself and I thought, that's the tell. That's my tell. Like I am not fine.
Yeah.
Like I am not fine. Like I need to get more better rest. I was sleeping, but I wasn't like
Getting deep
Yeah.
sleep. Yeah.
resting, which I'm sure you guys have talked about. Like
Right.
that, making sure you're really sleeping, not just like closing your eyes, and you got to get that deeper sleep. And I needed to drink more water, and I needed to start eating right, and I needed to do all these things that I had kind of white knuckled my way through this event, this set of events that were very sad. And it was, I thought I was fine. Like I 100%. And I was in my bathroom one day and I was cleaning off my makeup and I was like, my makeup doesn't look like it's off. It was my eyes were dark. And that was like my big tell. Because my weight fluctuates, other things happen. So it was a tell. So I think we also have to be alert to ourselves. Like, what is that thing that you see when you look at yourself honestly and you're like, yeah, I need to take better care of
But
myself.
even that, you just said something that's so critical, is looking at ourselves honestly.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
easy not to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I had white knuckled it. I wasn't
Yeah.
paying attention.
Yeah.
Because you're just trying
You
to
just
get
slap
through.
on
just
more
wanna
makeup.
get through the day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So I think when you take that little bit of a step back and instead of looking at yourself critically, you're
Yeah,
looking
not
at yourself
critically.
honestly.
Yeah.
That's
That
very
makes-
different
Yeah.
point of view. You can see like, oh man, I probably should be taking better care of myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And it's not about losing 20 pounds or whatever it is. I think just as women, it's like, hey, I am not taking care of myself. Like, I don't feel strong. I don't feel healthy. I don't feel glowy. I don't feel like all that.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that glow comes from, because there is that self-care, self-love, being self-conscious, right? You
Yeah.
wanna be
Yeah.
like
Conscious as in
Like
aware.
self-aware.
aware
Yeah.
of yourself,
Yeah.
right? Not
Oh, I
self-conscious,
love that.
right?
Yeah.
You want to be self-aware, self-conscious.
Yeah.
And so I think then that helps, because you can identify the things for yourself that will help you do what you need to do, right? Maybe it is losing weight. Maybe it is drinking more water. Maybe it is going out with girlfriends, reconnecting with people. Those are all really vitally important,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's what gets that inner thing going. And we've all been there.
Oh, for sure.
And I
yeah.
think, I mean, but even like just coming into your shop, right? It's so much fun to come in. I mean, it's girly stuff, but that's a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
We talk about girly stuff,
Yeah.
stuff, and
and
it's
fellowship
and
and
yeah, it's a fellowship, and you just feel good, and tell me about this or that, and it's a medium,
Yeah.
yeah.
right? So
And it's a way to talk, I think, as women, and we focus on the beauty underground a lot about women's issues, right? Like the things that swirl around beauty, because beauty can be kind of cruel, like
Oh,
the
for
beauty
sure.
industry,
100%. Yeah.
right? Like what you're seeing on Instagram. And like I had this moment, it was when we first opened the shop, and I thought, oh, I should do some like lipstick looks. So I put some lipstick on and I started to take a picture, and I was like, well, my lips don't look like all the lips on Instagram, because you see all these like great lip things. And I was like really sad for like a day, because I thought, man, that sucks. Like, why do my lips look weird and small and blah. But then I kind of realized, like, it's because they you have to go through that moment in your life where you say, okay, I'm not photoshopping. I'm not injecting.
Yeah.
And it's not saying injecting's wrong. It's just understanding, right? What's
really happening.
what's really happening. It's that self-awareness, self-consciousness.
Well, you've been in the beauty industry for a long time. How have you noticed beauty's change with people now wanting to make the perfect selfie and with filters and everything? Are people looking at makeup differently? Do you get that type of customer where like, I got to look good on my Instagram, that kind of thing? And is it in a healthy way always, or have you seen like it not be so healthy?
I mean, Amelia can speak to the not so. I mean, she spots a Facetune a mile away.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think part of it is why I notice it, honestly, is because, like, especially when I was going to, like, esthetician school, a lot of it would just be, like, we were almost being, like, mean girls to see if we could notice, like, what the girl had edited.
Oh, gotcha.
Because then it's just, like, you look at that person in real life and you don't see, like, oh, you have small lips. Like, that's not something you notice. But then you see them in person after you viewed their Instagram, and it's like, oh, like, you don't really look like that. I don't, it's just so... I think that's like the biggest thing is a lot of girls see this crazy, like these crazy looks, or not even really, I don't even know, just like they want more. They come in and they want more makeup. They need to like have better foundation, more full coverage, bigger eyebrows, bigger eyelashes. And it's just like, you can't look like Instagram in real life.
No,
That
you look crazy.
That shouldn't happen.
Can't all look like brat stuff. I feel like everyone looks like a brat stuff.
And it's really misleading. Like a lot of like people post pictures of their makeup and it's like all filtered. So it's like you don't actually see, because I've done several women's makeup where I'll do their foundation and I kind of like always show women like step by step so they can kind of see where it's going. And they're always like, no, my skin doesn't look great. It doesn't look right. And I'm just like, well, that's your skin.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
I can't change that you have texture on your forehead. I can't change that you have like lines around your mouth. That is just your skin.
Yeah.
Like I can't take that away with makeup.
No.
I can take that away with a filter.
Yeah.
But we can, you know, the fun thing about makeup that I think is coming forward significantly because people are, look, I am 100% grateful that I am not a Kardashian. I mean,
me too.
Can you imagine the pressure?
No,
The pressure
thank you.
to look a certain way at all times.
But also, I feel like the pressure is like they put on themselves.
Yes, there's
The
a lot
public
of
doesn't really
Right.
care.
I mean, it sort of set the standard, right? They're in a different
Right.
But that extends into the beauty world
Yes.
because then everybody who's putting themselves out there is like, wait, my crease isn't, you know, perfect, so I'm gonna auto tune that, or I'm gonna or face tune that, or then this isn't just perfect, or I'm gonna, and then you see like from Amelia's generation to my generation, everyone's filtering it so heavily that you cannot even see texture. They look almost like
brat
one-dimensional.
style. Like they don't have nose bridges because it's just like the little like button nose. It's
because then they feel
strange.
so like
It's
sad
very
about
strange.
being.
I
They're
guess
like,
I'm glad I'm older right now. I don't know this.
oh my gosh, you have
also-
friends on Facebook. I'm sure that you've seen where you're like, wow, like what
How do
is
they
up
look
with
like that all the
Yeah.
time? Yeah.
It's a filter. You can filter yourself on Zoom. You can go in and slide the little bar and be more filtered on Zoom.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Tell me more.
like real.
Sherry, have you been to London?
Yeah.
You know, it's Zoom.
Yeah, exactly.
Even on like TikTok and like Reels, when you go to like record it, you can turn on a beauty filter to automatically film you with a filter, so you don't have to go back and then like add a filter in. It instantly makes you look better.
In the future, it's going to be like natural filter, like to look like
think
somebody.
about
This one makes you look a little bit worse.
I honestly have never heard this.
What?
This is like
Sherry?
I don't
No,
know. I don't have younger people
I mean,
around.
they did that in the for hundreds of years.
editing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
What King
Right.
Henry
No, I get
saw
that.
Anne
Yeah.
of Cleves.
Yeah.
King Henry like met Anne of
right.
Cleves, and
Yeah.
she was not like her portrait, and he was not happy,
Right.
Because they'd sent the basically selfie version,
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
her
right.
portrait.
Right.
So this has been going on for years.
Yeah.
Like this
Right.
is
Great
nothing
point.
new.
Right.
Queen Elizabeth was the same way. Like
Yeah.
she had portraits made
Yeah.
that were, I believe that she replicated off of a portrait. Like they weren't allowed to actually paint her because she had horrible skin because she used like lye on her face to whiten her face. So she was using lime and lye on her face
Oh my
to
gosh,
make
can
it
you
white.
imagine?
And arsenic was another thing they put in their powders to make their skin really white. So they would get pocked. So this is nothing new.
Right.
Nothing new. So I think the kindness
you just
component.
ruin the glamour of it.
I know, right? But it's nothing new. But the cool thing is, and I know Amelia can speak to this too, that kindness is the new
Beautiful, right?
beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And the
Being-
new wealth.
And then the new
Yeah, new
everything.
health, yeah.
Because kindness gives you that inner glow, like to pull it right back to the original
Thank you,
conversation.
yeah.
Like kindness is what gives you your glow. Like
Yeah.
being like
Lifting other people up.
right, lifting people up, being aware, and that means taking them where they are. Like when I had really dark circles, I was probably like, if someone had wanted to take a picture, I'd be like, you need to filter that, you need to filter that, you need to fix that, because like I didn't feel like myself, I didn't feel good. So if you take people where they are, and I think like Amelia's great about that, like when she does makeovers and has people come in, you know, she does. We both do this, like walk them through and make sure they're comfortable. And hey, if you want more, you want more. If you want less, you want less. Hey, we're here to facilitate what makes you feel good. So, you know, that's the glow. It's being nice, man.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Being
like
nice.
yeah, there's
Oh,
always been
what
like
a concept,
Right?
yeah. I mean, yeah, and it's not good if you're just pretty on the outside and ugly on the inside. I mean, I think we can all agree. You can see that coming from a mile away. And that seems to be out of vogue, thank goodness. But I mean, makeup has gone in so many trends. And I remember when I was like old enough to start wearing makeup, it basically it would be like, I can't let my husband or my boyfriend see me without my makeup on, because you'd have like totally unnatural makeup. You had like the blue eyeshadow and all of this. And do you feel like that's a trend now that with all the shadowing and all that, or do you feel like it's more natural, or do you feel like there's just extremes? Because I feel like there's both. There's natural beauty and the extreme.
Yeah, I think there is a bit of both. And I think now, like, even the extreme, just like the art form that people have taken on in makeup, where like we'll see girls who like actually come into the store and have this like crazy intricate like graphic liner, and it's stunning, and it's just like so cool to me that literally is their everyday look.
My daughter does a lot of
stuff
like that.
I love that. I think that part is so cool. But then there is like the complete opposite where women are like uber natural, which I think is just as beautiful.
And it can be just as beautiful. What we don't like, and this is like our hard line in the sand, is you don't get to bang the other. You don't get to criticize and bang a drum to make the other side feel badly, because everyone is finding a way through self-expression, right?
Right, that's beautiful.
I mean, you have, this is like, as women, I mean, how do men express themselves? A tie. I mean, hats,
socks.
Like, I don't know.
A like, different colored polo.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I guess maybe.
They wash their face. I don't know. Deodorant.
Right. Like, what is that for them? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying, like, again, I say this every podcast, the men can build their campfire and have their campfire, or they can join our campfire. I don't really care.
Right.
It's not about exclusion. It's just, I can't speak to what it is for them. I know that like ties are a big thing, like with the Wall Street guys, like I'm going to wear my like Winnie the Pooh tie and make a statement. But for women, you know, beauty is this amazing, and fashion has always been for us this amazing place to express ourselves. Like when I'm going into something where I feel like I need to armor up, like it's a presentation, or I need to be like, bruh. You know, it's a red lipstick. It's, you know, like something that's a little like crisp. I want to look very like, I don't know, no nonsense. Still feminine. I'm not going to bust out a pantsuit. It's not really me, but like the feminine version of that. And then, but then on the other hand, like if I'm in a super conservative environment, the first thing I want to do is like dye my hair purple.
I know, me too. Yeah.
Like if I start feeling too boxed in, I'm like, I got to dye my hair.
Right? Yeah.
I got to wear like a borderline goth outfit, like something super rock and roll that's just on the edge of maybe not being work appropriate, because that's how I express myself. Like I love banging against the walls, right? I don't want to like conform. So I think everyone has to find their beauty version of that, right? Like what is it? I don't know. Everybody's got it. And for some people, not wearing makeup is their
thing. Yeah. That's what makes them feel beautiful and stand out.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
Or not dye their hair. Right? Have gray hair.
Have their natural hair. I struggle with that all the time because I've been dyeing my hair since I was a little kid. Like little kid. Yeah. And sometimes I'm like, I should just, and I've done it. I did it natural once in my 20s because I have so much white. I had like a white birthmark in like yarmulke patch in the back of my head. Interesting. And so it didn't, it looked frosted. It didn't look, but it sounds cooler than it was.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I remember frosting.
Yeah, I loved a good frost.
Yeah, when my friends, we would frost each other's hair.
With a cap and you pull this, oh my gosh.
Well, it's so funny. I didn't know it. I came home from 4th grade. And
I remember you telling me this.
Right. And I had been in 4th grade and my teacher asked me if I frosted my hair. And I didn't know what that was. And so I went home to my mom and I was like, my teacher wonders if I frosted my hair.
Oh my gosh.
And my mom's like, oh no, it's just the white pieces in your hair. She thought you were like dying.
Were you really like a towhead when you were born?
No, I'm like an auburn. Like I'm a dark auburn, but like it was just like streaks that would pop through and I'd get these white. And as I got older, it just became more and more pronounced. But it's white. It's like pure white. It doesn't take color well. Like my colorists all hate me because like it's crazy to color. But I've been doing it for so long. So I keep thinking like, oh, it'd be so cool to just go. But then I can't do it.
You know, my kids always like, Mom, you should go gray. You should go natural. That would be so cool. I'm like, what? Are you crazy?
And my kids are like, Mom, don't go gray. Just don't do it, Mom.
Well, Sherri, you have great hair. I mean, Sherri is so youthful looking, and her hair and everything. I mean, you always look great. You really, and your skin is amazing. You all do here. Yeah.
My grandma had gorgeous skin.
Yeah.
It's just funny. You know, she just had gorgeous skin and no wrinkles and all of that. But yeah, it's like my kids are like, no, mom.
Yeah.
No way, man.
Well, my Oma had beautiful skin too. And I say, Oma, what should I do with my skin? She goes, I just use Ivory soap and Vaseline. So I'm like, well, I'm going to do that too. It plugged up my skin.
There was
so
somebody
bad.
who was in recently who said that their grandmother used Crisco.
I believe it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you
I couldn't imagine putting that on my face now, but like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna consider it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It was kind of like coconut oil, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh, that's interesting.
So it's all those trends are
Yeah.
a thing, but I think the thing that always binds it together, because think about even in like healthy living and lifestyle, like one of the things when I was looking at developing the brand London Beauty is I love beauty.
Mm-hmm.
I love that there's clean options. Like that is really cool that are performance driven, that can perform the same way as like my department store stuff. But on the other hand, like I do love that, like a really good red lipstick or like crazy being able to do kooky things, right? And so I thought, well, it's so unfair because if you walk in to like a clean beauty store, there are a few of them across the country. A lot of times it feels like kind of mean girls. Like they're kind of mean because they're looking at you and you have more than you have red lipstick on or you have whatever on and you have foundation on. Like you know, if you're wearing any kind of real quote unquote makeup. But then if you go to the other side and you're not glitter cut creasing and you're not like
contoured and you don't have full coverage foundation and
then
your
your
hair's
being
not
judged, right?
done.
Yeah. So there has to be a place in the middle for women to congregate, and you shouldn't have to feel torn either way. This is all about self-expression.
Yeah, no, I love
And don't you-
love that you have that we don't knock the other.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
We're
I
all
think
figuring it
that's so-
out, right?
and it's kind.
Yeah.
Right. And I
Yeah.
think when we were talking with Karen earlier, our guest on belly dancing, right? She said that one of the things that she said that I thought was just awesome was that the community, the dance community, supports each other so much. She said there is not they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
And
brave.
because of that, there's such a camaraderie. And who doesn't need that?
Everybody needs that in some capacity, whether it's your friends, your family, your job, you need to feel like someone's got your back.
Yeah. Right. Well, first of all, I mean, it has to be you, right? Self-care. You have to have your back.
Yeah.
You have to be kind to yourself, right?
Yeah.
It starts there. And so then you can be kind to others and feel beautiful and then portray that and model that behavior. And then it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And people will look at you and go, well, you know, what's your secret? You know? And it's just like, oh, I'm happy, you know?
I'm nice,
So,
I'm happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and it's
I'm
sincere.
Nice.
It's sincere though.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
not like a fake thing, or it's not like a white knuckled thing. Like I'm doing this because gritting teeth, like I'm going to be nice if it kills me kind of thing. Like it's just a genuine appreciation for people. And I think that makes all the difference in the world. I mean, I just think it creates that camaraderie. So why fight it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and we see it in fitness too, like that, you know, if you are into fitness, if you're not into fitness, if you're dieting or you're not dieting, there's that like really
even vegetarian meat eaters.
Oh
so
my
many
gosh,
things.
that's such a
whole
big
thing.
one.
Yeah.
and it just becomes political, and then it just becomes fractured, and then you feel like, oh my gosh, maybe I should be doing this. Am I heavy set? Like, you know, it's like kids on a playground. I remember one time, I just thought of this. I was in New York City and I was going to a restaurant with a couple of girlfriends, and we hadn't seen each other in a while. And there was a big wait at some East Village place. I don't know. I don't even remember it being that cool of a place, but there's always a wait in New York for something. So I was standing outside and people were getting really obnoxious, like mad. And so one of the girls that I was with went inside and was like checking on a table, and I don't know, we were griping. I don't remember about like the wait, and I don't remember how it happened, but these two men in front of us were irritated that I think my friend had some pull and managed to get us in or whatever. And the one guy started mouthing off at us. Okay, fine, like whatever. Then he literally looked at me. He's like, well, you shouldn't be eating anyhow. You're fat.
Whoa.
And I was like, dang, like we're back to like third grade.
Wow.
Like what is that?
Yeah.
And what is that in people that makes them go there. Like, I am not. I mean,
it says more about them.
It says more about them.
Totally.
Like, I could stand to lose weight. I would say like 80% of Americans probably could stand to lose weight, especially after a pandemic.
Yeah.
But like, this isn't the playground where we should know how to treat each other.
Yeah.
And I remember just kind of laughing and walking away and being like, wow, dude, are you for real? But, you know, we face that every day in some capacity. And I think it's really sad. I don't think we should, you know, kind of, that's why we're attracted to certain people, because we know they're not judging us.
Yeah.
There was a, we always would say, happy people don't act like that.
Right.
That was just kind of a family kind of a thing. Happy people don't act like that. And then it was easy to have immediate compassion.
Yes.
Like for that jerky person who, you know, felt like they had to say something hurtful.
Mean. Right.
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 So obviously, because the happy people don't act.
Yeah.
They really don't act like
really
that.
don't.
They really don't.
And things that really love are a call to love.
Yeah.
So if somebody's acting like that, it's a call to love. They need love, right? So if you can keep that in mind, it's hard, it's challenging.
It is. It's always hard. And I mean, that was years ago, and I still remember it because I remember thinking like, dude, like, you're older than me. Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
And like, I could care less. Like, he was just saying the first thing, like,
That's
you know,
what I was going to say. People, whatever they see you as, they just like.
Right. The first thing that comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
Had I been flat chested and tall and skinny, he would have said like, you know, grow some boobs. I'm sure. Like, I guarantee you. Like, you know, you just go to the first thing. Like, I'm curvy, therefore I'm fat.
Yeah.
Or I'm, you know, you're tall and willowy, you don't have boobs. You know, there's always something.
Right.
There was a lot of male toxicity in that interaction as well, obviously. But
something was going on.
Something was clearly going on there. But,
you
know, I think that kindness, and that goes back to that glow.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're feeling good about yourself, it's not just drinking the water and working out and
it's keeping yourself safe in your space and being around safe people. And really, it's everything, right? So you can't be like, I'm killing the makeup game, but I'm starving myself, or my boyfriend's a jerk, or you know what I mean? It's everything, right? And so we keep all striving for that. And that's why London Beauty is so great. And Beauty Underground, correct, with your podcast? That's what you guys are there for. And you guys are so great in the community. You know, my friends brought me in, and then you became our friends, and then Sherri became your friends, and then we just keep getting bigger and bigger. And so it's so great that we're all here in our little,
right?
And now we're in our podcast studio, and we really are building like a community of people that want to be kind to each other and lift each other up.
Yeah, so, and I think it's a really cool thing. Somebody once said to me, you can't go home and kick your dog, but say like, I'm a good person.
Well, yeah, they say if you're zen, if you feel like you're zen, go home, right?
Right. You can't. You can't like go out. Like, you can't be like kicking your dog at home and then going out into the world and saying, well, I'm this like good person because see, I'm nice to my wife and my girls and my whatever, my partner, my whatever. Like it has
to be all or nothing.
It's all connected.
Right.
It's all connected.
Which is the challenge for all of us, right? Because I know it's like, I'm going to forgive everybody but that one person, right? So we all have to go through that too, right?
We do. It's always a challenge.
It
I
is.
mean, we have challenging clients. I mean, we're in a public space. We have people come in. And obviously during COVID, we had, you know, we were going to follow the guidelines, whatever was political, not political. I don't care what you like. We were going to play by the rules.
Right.
We're in a public space.
Right.
You know, and we actually had, I mean, I would say we had very few issues, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, there were
only
a
a
handful.
Yeah.
And even
a
then,
handful's too many though, really.
It is, but
honestly, it was really on them. Like we realized like it was them. Like they were angry because the minute we would explain, we have cosmetics for the same reason I don't want you to get pink eye from my testers and I sanitize my testers. If there's something going around, why wouldn't I take highest level of precaution when we want you to still be able to touch the product? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And then they'd be like, oh, well, well, I'll wait outside. You know, because you could tell they weren't going to step off there.
Yeah. Well, and that's
Their-
what was always funny to me. It was always like, it would usually be like a kind of a smaller group of friends, and it would always just be one person. And the other people would be like, well, we're fine with it. Okay, we'll put our masks on. We'll come in. And it'd be the one person who's like, well, like my friends aren't going to like back me on this.
Oh,
And I always just thought that was funny because then they literally were just outside alone.
Well, we all learned a lot about ourselves during COVID, a lot about others during COVID, and a lot about what makes you glow and doesn't make you glow. Right?
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah. It was hard to feel beautiful during the pandemic for sure, right?
Well, and I think we all went down that rabbit hole of the self-soothing in the ways that we thought were kind of like, ooh, I'm going to bake cakes and drink
just like
wine
one long snow day.
One long
and
snow day.
wear my
onesie kimono.
Right? Onesie kimono. But then like what we're seeing trend-wise, all of a sudden lipstick. People want lipstick again.
Yeah.
Well, lipstick's so important. You and I talked a little bit about how important lipstick has been in history, like in the concentration camps and everything. Yeah.
Lipstick is a thing. And so now, like for a long time, we were like, yay, I don't have to wear makeup. I'm going to eat junk food and I'm going to hang out and I'm going to whatever. And then I think people realized like this wasn't just one big snow day. This was going to, this was going on for a minute.
And we're missing people's mouths.
Right.
We're not, we're missing that. Yeah.
So I think people thought, well, I'm going to wear lipstick for me.
right.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm wearing lipstick under this. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. And then they started wearing eyelashes. Like more people wanted eyelashes.
I am
That's all
amazed
about
at
their
how
eyes.
many people are wearing eyelashes now.
Well, you really have to talk with your eyes now, right?
Well, and they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
They're so
But
pretty.
it's high maintenance and expensive.
If you do the extensions, if you do the strip lashes, it's pretty like not expensive and pretty straightforward. It takes practice. That's the only thing. You have to get practiced at it. But
So
yeah, the eyelashes, all the eye stuff. But I think people were for that minute, everyone like dove into all their like their secret. I hate to say like comforts in little dark zone, like
right,
I'm gonna
for sure,
drink and I'm
for
gonna
sure,
I'm gonna read trashy novels,
right,
and all the things, and then you realize like again you have to have balance.
Can't have all that. It's all junk food. It just becomes all junk.
Yeah.
It's all junk food for your brain, for yourself, for your
mind,
everything.
yeah.
So all of a sudden you're like, oh, right, I should probably
get back,
do the thing. Although some people, I am envious of these people, were like, I'm going to work out.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
I was like, that impressed me.
Yeah.
I was like, I was baking.
Yeah, I know, me too. I'm like, what I should do is something I should have done before, and I'm never going to do it now.
Right, exactly. I'm not going to, this is not the time.
Right, but I mean, skincare was so important then too, but do you feel like skincare fell by the ways during the pandemic as well because people were just like eating crap and not taking care of their skin because I'm not going out?
No, I feel like if anything,
or did it kick up?
I think it kicked up, if anything, just because people had the time to research new products. And then it was like, oh, I don't have to like only give myself 5 minutes in the morning to get ready. Now I literally have the entire day to do I could have a 40-step skincare routine and I have all the time in the world to do it.
And watch Tiger King, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot about
Oh my
Tiger
gosh,
King.
I know. Let's hope we never have to revisit that, right? Thank God for it, though.
Oh my gosh, right. That in my video game. Tiger King in my video game.
That's hysterical.
But I think skincare became a thing. And I think with spring coming now, like people are really excited to wear lipstick and you know, put on blush and you know, not be on Zoom. Like the Zoom fatigue or whatever is real.
For sure.
So I think we're going to see more of that. And I think people interacting with each other after this past year just want to be nice and friendly and supportive. I do think there has been somewhat of a shift, maybe.
I think a little bit.
Yeah, I hope so.
I feel like we get a lot more people in the store now who like want to focus on their community, which is really nice because that's all they could really rely on like during the shutdown.
Yeah. And small businesses, right?
Yeah.
Brought people to small businesses, so that's helped you guys out a lot. So,
I think small businesses and, you know, all these things that we're in, like you guys are involved in and we're involved in, and all these community things, like we want to engage with the community. And I can only say, I really hope that the community understands like that value that we all bring. I mean, I think a lot of people do. I'm not saying they don't, but like we don't want donations. We're not interested in a donation to stay open. We'd rather have you come shop.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't want to donate. We're open. Come and shop.
Yeah.
Come and see us. Come and learn.
Yeah. Come and get some kindness, right? And get your inner glow on.
Yeah.
And be with people, be uplifted. And we're so glad that you guys joined us here today. Sherri, I think you Sherri's phone.
I'm just going.
Yeah.
And I'm still on that Borghese.
I know.
But that feeling, I mean, I just remember that feeling of like, oh, I'm doing this amazingly cool thing for myself.
Yeah.
Right? I just felt like a princess.
Yeah.
And I think that's how all of us feel. So one of the standards in the shop that I think we hold is that some products can be amazing, but if they don't make me feel like that, I don't stock them.
Oh, yeah. You can feel it in your store.
I want to feel like that kid. I want to feel like 1987 me, where I was like, my mom's going to let me buy something. And I want that. I mean, I was too young to actually wear I was young. So my mom was like, but I wanted that
feeling.
Right. Yeah. It's not like I had my own job and just could go buy something.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was super exciting when I got something Chanel, makeup or.
And what a gift your mom was be able to give it to you. Yeah.
But so that feeling. So I went last week, I was like out of the plum oil, right? I used it, and one of my friends had filled my little tube, and I used the last drop of that. I had to do something because we were leaving town, right? So I'm like, I'm going down to London Beauty. And my husband's like, well, because we were going to do an errand. And he goes, I'll just go with you. And then I'm like, no. No.
Yeah. No boys allowed. Yeah.
Right? I'm like, you just stay home. I'll come back and get you. And I think his feelings are kind of hurt. And in the sense of, well, why don't you want me to go with you? And I go, because I want to just enjoy. I just want to be there.
Right.
And just enjoy
you don't
looking, smelling.
Yes.
And I told him, my husband's waiting at home for me. So, I can't think around.
Yeah.
But I want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So in her beautiful wisdom, we're out of the plum, right? It hasn't come in.
Their supply chain broke from Chrissy Teigen. Chrissy Teigen spoke about it on her Instagram stories. And, it's from an organic plum farm. They use the seeds from the plums that they farm. And the whole supply chain is just broken. They're just trying to fill back orders and wish lists at this point. And it's been 6 months.
Crazy.
Yeah. So let's be careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because,
100%.
but I learned about that when you came and did the podcast because Karen was raving about it. So
it's amazing.
And I learned about that from my friends.
So but that's so cool.
Yeah.
But so
we're out.
So she shows me this one product, and then it's like, okay, this is lovely. And then she goes, well, and then there's this one. It's like twice as much as all of them. And I put it on. It's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And so I of course had to have it.
Yeah.
And then I called my friend as I was on my way to pick up my husband, and I go, just so you know, change your face skin oil budget, because once you try this, you'll never want to go back.
And their fragrance.
Post kimono glow, right?
Post kimono glow. And the fragrance, I tell them about the fragrance from all the Ayuna stuff.
In all of Ayuna, the fragrance in it is called Beautifulness, I believe is what it's called.
Oh, awesome.
And they've actually done scientific studies where it actually heightens your positivity.
Oh, I love
which is
that.
so cool. So like in the fragrance itself, it's like,
and I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So that's like, and it automatically smells good. So I don't tell people often about it just because it's like, well, it already smells good. Like, I don't know, like the sciencey stuff, some people just aren't into it.
Yeah.
So it has like pine and apple, but there's also like pineapple, and there's like juniper,
chamomile,
rose. Yeah. So when you they actually sell the fragrance. When you buy like a fragrance, you get like this little disc, and you can spray it and like leave it next to your bedside, because it's supposed to like help you like have more like happy like thoughts and like positive dreams.
Oh, yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, that's beautiful.
So you can, and we were spraying it inside our masks.
Yeah,
because it's a natural perfume, and it is really lovely. And it's in all their products. So their clients were like, I love this smell. Like, how do I get more of this smell? So that's why they made the fragrance.
Do you guys have it in the store now?
Yeah.
We do have it.
What's
but
the price point of that?
What is it?
$189.
$189 for a big bottle with the little disc.
Beautiful.
But it is in all their products. And so whenever you're using them, they also did they're super sciencey. They did all these studies about like your cells, and there's like stem cells in that oil, and that your cells and like your body responds positively too. Like, it's like when you tell a plant you're a good plant,
Right,
but you tell a plant you're a bad plant, and the good plant like grows better than the bad plant, right? It's that thing, right? So your cells somehow like pick up on that, and it elevates like your sense of beauty about
I didn't
yourself.
even know any of that.
your
Oh
inner
my
glow.
God.
Which is super sciencey, and they do all this
Right.
research about it, and it's like, because the chemist who started Iuna used to work for Natura Bissé out of Barcelona, if you know that line. And so this is their clean line, and they developed it to be like almost like a cleanse. You use it for a week, a month, whatever, and then you step away from it and do whatever you do, and then you come back to it. You kind of constantly come back to it to reset. It's like a reset button for your skin. That's how the line was designed. Yeah. So it's like very cool because it layers this
Feel good
thing that's completely, not meant to be a conscious thing, but just a very unconscious thing.
Wow. Well, that's kind of like what we say is we want to fill our day as we are creating our good fat life, right?
Yeah.
Is to fill our day with all those little tiny moments
And intentions.
and where it's just that little moment, that little thing all day long.
Yeah.
Right.
And I love that it's called Good Fat Life, because I always think of fat babies make me happy.
Yeah,
like little
for
fat
sure.
Babies. You want like a good fat, like cucumber, or good fat, like I like corn. I want my corn to be kind of heavy and fat, plump.
Yeah.
Right? Like fat, like
Ripe, red, plump.
Like healthy, happy, chunky cherub.
Yeah. There's something that you can like hold on to with that word. I love that word, that it's in your magazine title. I think it's very cool. I don't know why I love that. I'm like, I love it.
That's great feedback.
Yeah.
I love to hear that.
Yeah, that's really great to hear, because we Sherri sticks to that, and we're sticking to it. We've been told a couple times to get rid of it, and we're like, that's it. We like it.
Yeah, there's just something about, and the like funny little avocado with you in the middle, like your little avocado. But like, I love that, because this body stereotype, or that fat is a dirty word. Like, it isn't, like, because it has connotations that like, you want a little fat baby.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like my cats a little chubby. Like, I like things that are a little chunky.
Yeah.
Our dogs were always on the heavy side.
Yeah, I
Because
got some fat
my husband just liked it. It makes him happy to watch them eating.
Right?
'Cause
Right.
their tails are
Yeah.
wagging.
And that's not to say like, okay,
Yeah.
there is a moment in your life where you're like, I need to stop eating cake.
Yeah.
Like, I get that. I'm not saying be unhealthy, but there is something about, that's why I don't think it's a 4-letter word. I think it's just, or a 3-letter word or whatever. I don't think it's a bad word. I think it's just like, it's evocative, and I like that about it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Thank
Good.
you.
Yeah.
And thank you
Thank you
guys
for
for
that.
being
Yeah.
Oh my
here.
gosh, thank you for inviting us.
And tell us about your store. Tell us the address of your store.
So
and
we
your
are
store.
in downtown Brighton on Main Street. We are pretty much always there, Amelia or me or both of us.
7 days a week.
Okay. Tell us about your podcast.
The podcast is The Beauty Underground.
Okay.
And we talk about this kind of stuff with tons of people.
Yeah.
We have had some really fun guests on. We have some fun ones coming. We have next week, or the week after, the woman who is the Dry Bar franchise owner for the area is going to talk to us about.
I've been learning a lot about Dry Bar. Yeah.
So we've had people like that on, but we've also had like a friend of mine who's an actress on, and she's my age. So she realized like at some point she just had to lean into, everyone when she was acting and we were younger would say like, you're going to hit it when you're 40. Like that's when you're going to hit your stride. And she's like, sure enough. Like she gets more work now than she ever got in her 20s. And she's like, I just have to be okay on high def with my crinkles. Like that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Being still. And she goes, and all this.
Yeah. All this glory. Oh,
all
gosh.
this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you.
But they're kind of what we were talking about earlier, though. It's how somebody makes you feel when you're in their space.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter if they have wrinkles or
Yeah.
gray hair or not.
If they're
or
just lovely,
purple
they're
hair,
lovely.
it's-
Lovely is lovely.
It doesn't matter.
Nope.
Right?
Yeah.
Lovely is lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
That's a
And
great,
we
I
love
that.
London Beauty. So
Yeah,
we
we
love
like
you
that.
guys.
Like,
Yeah.
too.
So thank you.
So,
So
yeah, thanks.
yeah. So you guys got to get to your podcast,
Yeah.
and we got to go get off and live our good fat life.
Yeah.
Right,
There
Sherri?
we
So
go.
yeah.
Yes.
So thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
oh
guys.
my gosh, thank you. This is great.
I'm coming in for the
Beautifulness.
for the mask.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks,
All right,
guys.
thanks,
All right.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.